Thank you very much, Karen. And this room is not a stranger to me. I'm a former El Paso County Commissioner, so was on the board and chair at one time. So it's great to be back. I am the State Director for U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development. I know that's a mouthful, but I am a presidential appointee. So I work for President Trump and Secretary Rollins under USDA. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about an overall of what rural development really does, because there's a lot of opportunities. And I think that among the PPACG members, you could be missing out. I pulled up some figures just to let you know. From 2023 to 2026, over a 3-year period, Park County received a total investment of $16 million. El Paso, $4 million, and Teller, $6 million. That's over those 3 years. In terms of what they received dollars over, in Park, nothing in business programs, nothing in community facilities, and nothing in telecommunications. In El Paso, some business program dollars, $66,000, nothing in community facilities, and nothing under telecommunications. And then in Teller, nothing in business programs, nothing in community facilities, and essentially nothing in water and environmental or telecommunications. So as I said, there's a lot of opportunity here that you all may be missing out on. I was pleased to be here I think it was just last week with Mayor Dixon. We were able to provide a search grant for them to do a wastewater study in Ute Pass at $85,000. So they were just awarded just very recently. You're welcome. It was a great day. It didn't start snowing until later. We don't know about today either. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. Let's see if it. All right, I'm trying. Am I supposed to point it somewhere? There we go. All right, so I think I need to go back. There we go. Okay, so when you think of USDA, most people think of farming and ranching, right? Lots of other things that we do. So we have the farm services, but we also have the food and nutrition services, food safety. I don't inspect the meat. That is not part of my job. There's marketing and regulatory programs. We have natural resources and environment, which includes the Forest Service and Natural Resources Conservation Service. And then we have a research division. And then there's rural development. So we're sort of a freestanding part of USDA. And I'm going to go on to tell you how important this is to all of you. So if you think about things, pretty simple. I can only remember 3 things. So ABC is pretty easy to remember. So the things that we do at rural development, first of all, we only work with rural. So it has to be in a rural area. The definitions of that will vary from program to program, but generally it's 50,000 or less. Affordable housing, we do home ownership loans. And we do funding for rental complexes. But in addition to that, we also, under our homeownership opportunities, we also have grants that help with home repair as well, if you meet the qualifications. Under B, for business and economic development, we do funding for the technical assistance, we do business startup, marketing, and feasibility studies. And then under community infrastructure, the funding for essentially the bricks and mortar of Main Street USA. And under that, that's where our water and environmental programs also exist, and we can fund community facilities as well. So our office was really created to improve the quality of life and economic opportunity in rural America. And we are a unique agency that we're the only one devoted solely to assisting residents of rural America. So under our housing programs, we give families and individuals the opportunity to buy, build, and repair safe and affordable homes. Eligibility for those really depends on the area and the median household income in each area. We currently have our state allocations. USDA is funded for both the direct home loan and home repair loans and grant programs. So if you know anyone who's interested, we can help them with their home loans. I want to share a couple of stories about how our programs have actually worked. This picture is in Cripple Creek, and Alexandria and her 4 children had moved to town and fell prey to a housing rental scam. They lost their home. With no other options, she purchased an old school bus and permanently parked it at a local campground that had shower facilities, and the family called it home for the next few years. After working on a credit, she applied for a 502 home loan and was able to purchase a 2-bedroom, 1-bath dream home with plenty of outdoor space for her children, Midnight the dog, and Shadow the cat to play. There's even a place on the side of the house to park the school bus, and instead of junking the home on wheels, she turned it into a playhouse for the kids. Another homeowner is Carla Quintana. She lived in Garfield County since 2011 with her kids. After moving into a garage studio apartment, the family was able to move in with friends, and she heard that Habitat for Humanity in the Roaring Fork Valley was accepting applications for a home build, and she decided to apply. She filled out her application during her lunch hour and was accepted. And she not only worked at her job at the local bank, but also contributed 250 hours of sweat equity to the project. The family is now settled into their 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. And then I want to mention recently a group of homeowners in Fremont County in Florence. I visited with recently. We're moving into their homes that were built through the Mutual Self-Help Loan Program with our local sponsor. And some of you may remember a former county commissioner, Dave Paul, who's now working with UCOG, and he was there as well. This mutual self-help program, much like the Habitat for Humanity project that I mentioned earlier, the folks that work in tandem with the group complete their homes, and they build skills that homeowners may not necessarily always have. One of the new homeowners in this group's spouse is serving our country, and during the build he was stationed in Korea. So he returned home to Florence and is now enjoying the home he and his wife, JC, built. Another is a 17-year-old son who learned some of the home construction project skills he didn't have before. So it's great stories that we like to share. And under B is for Business, our business programs support economic growth in rural communities and increase access to capital. Our programs are designed to create jobs, support businesses, and strengthen local economies. And we help by filling the gaps with local banks and accomplish this through loan guarantees, grants, and technical assistance. And our flagship program is the Business and Industry Guaranteed Loan Program. It reduces lender risk and makes larger or long-term rural projects possible. Currently, we have funding for this program. Nearly $1 billion are available nationwide. Our rural business development grants can fund business incubators and revolving loan funds and support technical assistance and feasibility studies. States receive an allocation for these grants, and we anticipate them opening up actually early in the summer. In Canyon City, the Fremont Economic Development Corporation has been working with us very successfully. We can also help strengthen ag-based economies with our value-added producer grants. This program helps agricultural producers generate new products, create or expand marketing opportunities, and diversify their revenue. We just closed that on April 22nd, and we had a large number of applicants, but it can really help to add on to those who are producing things in agriculture, to add on to sort of their portfolio of what they offer and build their farming into more productivity. We have the funding also to complete energy audits through our Rural Energy for America program, and we anticipate funding coming through soon for that. And then we have several relending programs, such as the Intermediary Relending Program and Rural Micro Entrepreneur Assistance Program, that provide capital to local organizations and build a source of funding for business growth. On the screen are just a few examples of how our programs work. The picture on your left is from a local grocery store in Palisade, where we assisted with new refrigerators and freezer units. The bottom left is from Canyon City. We were able to assist Fremont Economic Development Corporation with a rural business development grant for Project Constellation. It's a business-led cooperative designed to grow and retain local talent in the county. The project will help businesses develop a reliable workforce while funding scholarships and providing industry-specific training and real world skills. They mainly want to keep, not only train them, but keep them there. And we're pictured there in front of an engineering firm that started actually in one of our original incubator projects and now has purchased the building across the street and is expanding. So really important to that local community. Fremont's been very active. You could use them as a great example of how we've worked very well with them. And then C is for community infrastructure. How many of you need more public safety things in your community? Everywhere, right? All in Colorado. This is infrastructure that helps keep communities healthy, safe, and economically viable. And we can fund essential services like healthcare and public safety facilities, community services, education-related facilities, and municipal infrastructure in rural areas. And then finally, our water and environmental programs, what we call WEP, provides the infrastructure foundation that rural communities need to support commercial development, housing growth, industry expansion, and long-term prosperity. And how do we do this? Through the WEP programs, we provide technical assistance and financing through loans, grants, and loan guarantees to develop drinking water and waste disposal systems, replacing aging infrastructure and reducing contamination. After all, modern, well-maintained water and wastewater systems are needed for a community to grow or develop. On the screen are some examples of our funding. Obviously, I think you probably know a couple of people in this photo here. And then on the top left is Mount San Rafael Hospital in Trinidad, Colorado. We provided funding to renovate and expand a 14-bed medical surgical unit, a new emergency department, new central utilities plant, and the purchase of monitoring equipment for the emergency room. Below is a picture of a restore building outside of Glenwood. We were able to work with the local Habitat for Humanity and provided financing for the building and their store. On the right is a picture, obviously, of the town of Green Mountain Falls. And just recently, I was able to present the town and Mayor Dixon with an $85,000 special evaluation assistance for rural communities and households. Say that fast. It's called a search grant to help with their work on their preliminary engineering report, otherwise known as a PER. The town relies on individual septic systems for their wastewater treatment, and inadequate treatment has contributed to ongoing water quality impairments along Fountain Creek. The PER will provide options to consider for centralizing their wastewater treatment system. And finally, we have offices around the state and in Denver. Our staff lives and works in the local communities we serve. So I suggest that you reach out. You can always reach out directly to me and I'll make sure to point you in the correct direction. You can help us in two important ways. First, by acting as a conduit for information on our programs and applying to participate in our programs directly. So if you know of homeowners that are looking to buy or build a new home and they qualify for our programs in those rural areas, please point them to us and we'll help them to be able to buy their own home. If you know of someone who's over the age of 62 and very low income, who is needing help on repairing their home with critical needs. We've had several examples. An older woman, she was in her 80s down in the Alamosa area, had to use an outhouse during the winter time because she didn't have indoor plumbing in her bathroom. We were able to provide a grant for her to redo her bathroom. So now she doesn't have to traipse outside. These are really serious things sometimes that affect people's lives. So we would really like to be a part of that in coming up with a solution. So this just shows where we're located. And then the final slide is how you get in touch with us. And I know Karen will share a lot of this information with you. You can always come directly to me and I can point you in the right direction. I'm glad to be here this morning. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I unfortunately or fortunately get to go to Hayden, Colorado, which is up near Steamboat, to provide a grant for a small community on economic development. So I'm excited to do that, but not sure what the weather's going to look like today. So I'm going to try and leave fairly early. I did leave some cards also over by where Jared is standing, and there's a QR code on the back that you can get to all of our programs. We have over 70 of them. So I'm not going to go through 70 today. Thank you. Go ahead. Anybody have a question?
I'm always full of questions. So we're facing the new wildfire resiliency code and also some new emphasis on cesspools. Do the home repair, could that cover not only just like the siding and roof, but maybe also the mitigation, the defensible space areas around the home?
I don't think that the defensible space would be included. I do know that we've done a number of like septic systems. Fort Garland, Colorado recently had some issues with, they have cisterns and they had their water cut off to fill their cisterns. So we actually were able to use one of our grant loan combos to help them to drill a new well.
Okay.
So it's mainly basic life services. Things like, though, on energy efficiency could be one of those. So for instance, new windows, doors, things that add to the energy efficiency of a home could be included in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor.
I just asked, like, if we have individuals that are interested in the home repair or the homeowner, who do they contact?
They can go through our offices, and we have staff that specializes. So I have three, you can see here, three program directors, and then
So
they
they
have
have-
staff for them.
Okay.
We would just need to put them in touch probably with our housing staff. We have some staff with housing down in the Los Animas office, actually in Bent County, and over in Alamosa, and then over in Delta as well. But we make sure they get to the right person. It doesn't matter which office they're in. They can certainly help with checking eligibility to see if they're eligible. The direct loans go directly through USDA. The guaranteed loans would go through a bank. So those are for those that might be in a little bit higher income category, but still qualify for our loans.
Hi there. For the water and environmental programs, would replacing water meters throughout the city?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly find out for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so just email me your question and I'll pass it along to our community programs director.
Perfect.
And we'll get you an answer. Other questions? Yeah.
So for anyone online, please use raise hand function. But right now we don't have any hands raised online. Make sure I don't miss anyone in the room. And I see no hands raised online.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. And I, hope to work with some of you. Let's see if we can get those numbers a little higher than in the PPACG area. Because there is a lot of rural. I mean, people think of it, it's not just the city of Colorado Springs. So that's sort of the big cheese. But we've done some homes out on the Eastern Plains in terms of our programs, and we'd like to see those rural business development grants as Fremont has been very, very active in providing some opportunities for us to partner with them. So thank you very much. And thank you, Andy. Thank you, Karen.